This question was made on my channel yesterday, and the answer is very important. However, the answer to this question is a lot more complicated than you first might think, especially when it comes to the new 2025 lineup and what you can expect from them and whether it's even worth it. Firstly, thank you DJ for commenting this on my most recent video, but the question isn't as obvious as you would first think, and to be perfectly honest, I'm going to shock quite a lot of you that have watched the channel for a while, as there is merits from every different angle I'm going to cover. However, the more I read the comment, the more I started to feel my answer changing, and that'll make a lot more sense to you guys towards the end. Is it worth waiting for the 2025 drivers, or should I just go for the 2024 ones instead? I have been thinking about upgrading from a really old one. Now, I know a lot of you are ready to start furiously typing, but hang on a minute. I recently made a video on all the 2024 drivers, and they're crashing in price because they're soon to be redundant. The new ones are being leaked, and these have got surplus supply up and down the country. To prove a point, I've seen a QI10 on Flyer for £290, a brand new one in the wrapper for £350, and 3 months ago, that just wouldn't have been possible. However, the phrase worth it is incredibly important, not only for is it worth getting last year's model, but let me tell you exactly what the 2025 drivers will be able to give you and won't be able to give you, and then you guys can decide, is that worth it? And there is a lot of change coming in 2025. TaylorMade have the QI35 range, Callaway have the Elite or Elite, Ping have the G440 range, Titleist potentially is bringing out the GT1, Srixon, Wilson, the list goes on. And to give you a slight hint on how little tech advancement we will see in 2025, I feel like Cobra's new driver adapter system that gives you 33 combinations of loft and lie will be the biggest advancement in technology that we will see in 2025, mainly due to the fact I don't know how any other company can do more than what they already have. Does that mean don't get a 2025 driver? No, and I'll give you reasons for that as well. But let's start with facts, and the best one being ball speed. There's two types of testing in golf. We have CT testing and we have core testing. Core being the old model and somewhat deemed as the more accurate one is firing a ball out of a cannon into a face and then measuring the amount of energy that you got back off that face. Now, sadly, you can't take that process to a tournament. Therefore, they had to devise another method that they can test professional equipment whilst out in the wild. So therefore, they came up with a new method called CT testing. This came out in 2004, where it's a pendulum, a metal ball comes down onto the face, and that metal ball isn't allowed to be on the face longer than 239 microseconds. In layman's terms, the longer that ball is on the face, the more of a trampoline it actually is. Now, for a driver face to be conforming, no matter what it's made out of, it can't exceed that limit, but there is a tolerance of 18 microseconds, so 257 microseconds on a face. Two things to quickly take away from this. Number one, this test has been around for a long time, and manufacturers could push the tolerances, so let's say go above the 239, go to 242, 243, so that they're within that tolerance. However, if you spend all that money on a driver and it fails the conforming rules, that's a lot of money lost on a piece of equipment that you can't actually sell. The second one, and the irony behind all of this, is that CT testing was brought in because those pros were hitting drivers so hard, so consistently, out the middle of the face. There's this term called creeping, where actually the middle of the face starts getting hotter, meaning that face would start creeping above that 239, 247, 250 in terms of the trampoline effect of the face. Therefore, governing bodies needed a simple test that they could measure on site. And the irony is there's going to be drivers on eBay for £80, £100 that are arguably the fastest faces in the world, and no one even knows about it. However, if you watch the video that DJ commented on, I talked about ball speed, I talked about efficiency and how spring path plays an effect, club face plays an effect, centeredness strike plays an effect. All these factors add up ball speed, and to be honest, for the average golfer, it is absolutely negligible how much thickness or less thickness by the microsecond is going to make to your round of golf. So before we cover the next improvement that drivers could have in 2025, 2025. I do again want to talk about DJ's comment because there was two choices on the table, 2024 or 2025. Now, if you've just started the game, and when I say start, you've got less than 300 hours in this game, less than 75 to 100 rounds of golf, don't get either. Don't get 2024, don't get 2025. This Titleist TS2 would be perfect for about £100. This Ping G series would be perfect for £100. And again, looking at DJ's comment, he's looking to upgrade from something that he calls quite old. Therefore, the balls were different when something like this was designed. And indeed, manufacturers have done a good job over the last 15 years in shaving weight from the crown, putting it low down the bottom here. The sound and feel that you get off the face from modern day drivers definitely give you somewhat confidence. And most importantly, with the balls that we have today, they produce higher launch and they produce less spin. If you were to do like for like in terms of loft and shaft change from a driver that was 15 years old. But here's why the comment is really good, because what happens if this is the old driver that DJ is talking about, and in fact he's had 500, 600, 7 hours worth of practice in the game? How much difference would a fitted 2025 driver be from this, or a 2024 second-hand non-fitted one be? Before we cover those two questions, Ping is going to get less forgiving in 2024. There, I said it. Titleist, if they bring out the GT1, will potentially be bringing out the most forgiving driver head of 2025. How do I know this? It's because head design delivers forgiveness, not marketing. Unlike TaylorMade and Callaway, these manufacturers bring out 4 to 5 heads covering the full array of different driver head combinations every single year. Titleist and Ping, on the other hand, have 2-year cycles and typically bring out the most forgiving head the year after that these models were changed. Memorably, Ping did this with the G400 range. The year later, they brought out the G400 Max, and still to this day, goated, one of the most forgiving drivers in the market. Why? Because it's long and it's got a massive weight at the end of it. Almost 8 years later, it's still going for £200. And when we talk about MOI, the Ping G400 Max was 9,900. It was basically a 10K driver all the way back then. Looking at the lineup for the G440 range, there doesn't seem to be a 10K version. There seems to be a G440 Max, very much like this, with an adjustable weight at the back and it not stretched out to have just one singular weight at the back like the 10K does. Please remember though, forgiveness does come with downsides. And actually a lot of you guys probably won't need the 10K head, and this G430 Max will be more than enough in terms of forgiveness, but also producing the right launch and spin to give you the best of both worlds. It's the same reason TaylorMade and Callaway for the longest time were the longest drivers on the market if swung really fast, for example on tour. It also meant these were the least forgiving driver heads on the market, but because you can't really measure forgiveness when you add in club face, swing path, centeredness of strike, of course you can get away with calling your driver forgiving just by putting something like Max on the back of it. My point is, if Ping, TaylorMade, Callaway, Titleist, Strixon, Mizuno, whatever, come out with the most forgiving driver, and they actually achieved it, keeping it within the rules of golf, which I find very difficult to see how they would do that. It would also mean that they're producing the highest launching and highest spinning head of 2025 as well. Hence why head and shaft combination, loft combination can be so important for you actually getting more distance from your quite old driver. Which leaves us the question, does a decent golfer get a £250 one of these come February, or a fitted £550 one of these? Well, I think I've got a few suggestions. Option number one, get a brand new QI35 fitted for you. Obvious downside, the most expensive option, but I don't mind that. If someone's going to get 6 years worth of golf out of their fitted £600 driver, I think that's a good investment. My biggest concern is that golfer that is fluctuating a lot, having lessons, been in the game a year, 2 years, and that fitter's got an hour to assess your swing. What swing are you bringing on that day? Are you having the fitting in the morning or are you having it in the afternoon? Can they project where your golf game is going to be in the future to have that 9-degree, draw biased, stiff flex, whatever it is? Or is actually a swing change a month later going to make that driver send the ball massively left? Here's my 3 keys for a brand new driver fitting. Number 1, you're not looking for miracles, you're looking for tweaks. What I mean by that is your driver's not the card wrecker. It just leaks out to the right a bit, or leaks out to the left, or actually it's too low, or actually I feel like I need more height and more carry. Number 2, pay for a fitting. Look on Google, look at reviews, and therefore you're not going to be pressured to buying the item or driver at the end of the session. You've paid for the session, you don't feel guilty, and then you can go away and think about it, which brings me on to option 3. If you go to your local pro for your fitting, get the fitting, pay for the fitting, but then go back a week later. Can I try the same setup again? Can I just use it on the driving range? Can I use it in the simulator again? Can I see that it works just as well now as it did after 80 balls that I hit with you in the custom fitting session? Option 2, and I actually saw a reply to DJ's comment after he mentioned that he wanted to get fitting, and it was by Ray Golfer, which actually is a good option. Go for a fitting, pay for the fitting, don't waste someone's time, and be honest, I want to buy a second-hand driver, I just want to know my specs in the newer stuff. A lot of pro shops will be fitting for a lot of these at discounts anyway, but go and see what loft you want, what shaft you want, what head design you want. As I've just explained through this video, technology isn't going to make your ball go further. Launch, spin, centeredness of strike and club face will, and that's what shaft and head designs can definitely help you with. Plus, once you spent 50, 60 pounds on the fitting and 250 pounds for a gleaming one of these, and there's hundreds to choose from because everyone's getting rid of them, 310, 320 pounds for a fitted driver in good condition. A bit more work, I must agree, but that is definitely a better value option. Lastly, the risk-free option, or the minimal risk option, and what my whole channel is basically based around. Watch the previous video to this one where I talk about every swing speed a golfer, what shaft that they want, what head design that they want, what loft that they want, and then just get something around 100 pounds. 150 pounds, 200 pounds, you can decide what year that driver came out and you can decide what brand that you wanted to go for. Keys of buying second-hand equipment is that it's lost that retail, it's lost that hype, and therefore try something that you think is going to be close to what you want. Take it on your golf course, take it down the range, play with it for 3-4 months. If you love it, great, you've got a bargain. And if you don't, sell it and you've lost absolutely nothing, and there's going to be minimal regrets of what you chose. Guys, if you've got any questions on your golf bag or golf game, sasgolfacademy.com. Catch you guys later.